Good evening. You're joining us live on Facebook for this month's episode of Science Stream. Welcome. We'll be starting our broadcast shortly. Meanwhile, please make yourself comfortable. If you have any questions for our guests, please leave them in the comment section. See you in a bit. Hello once again, especially to those who have just joined us. I'm Sean from DahDigital Penang, Penang's very own Science Discovery Center. Founded in April 2020, DahDigital Penang is an agency under the Penang State Government, created to accelerate efforts in pursuing opportunities in the digital economy. It is geared towards moving the state into a digital society and nurturing the growth of digital innovation. The COVID-19 pandemic heightened the need for ordinary Penangites to go digital in our daily lives. Initiatives such as the Digital Promo Scheme and the Digital Coach Scheme aim to encourage and promote the use of basic digital technology among ordinary Penangites and also to create part-time work during this COVID-19 crisis. Tony Yeoh, the CEO of Digital Penang, will tell us how Penang DahDigital in this month's Science Stream. Tony holds an MBA from University of Auckland, New Zealand, and a Bachelor of Science degree from Monash University, Australia. He started his career with the Singapore National Computer Board as one of the pioneers the Civil Service Computerization Program, and later moved to New Zealand to work for a systems consulting company, Computer Sciences Corporation. Tony led the consulting and systems integration business for Hewlett-Packard China while he was their general manager over 12 years. He was seconded to several HP offices to lead the consulting practices in Taiwan, Thailand, Singapore, and Malaysia. From 2006 till 2016, he was the Regional Chief Information Officer for Intercontinental Hotels Group, Asia, Middle East, Africa region. He was responsible for the technology services and infrastructure in corporate offices and also supported hotel openings and systems operations. Tony was also a visiting industry fellow, associate fellow teaching information systems management to students of Bachelor in Hospitality Honours at Singapore's 5th Autonomous University, Singapore Institute of Technology. Please join me to welcome Tony to the show.
Hi. Thank you, Sean.
Hi, welcome to Science Stream, Tony. Thank you for taking the time from your busy schedule to be with us tonight.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, so Digital Penang is very new to us. Maybe you can explain to us what is the role of Digital Penang?
Okay, so I think the Chief Minister set up Digital Penang because he realizes that the two engines of growth for Penang in manufacturing as well as tourism is where we are very mature and where it has done very well for Penang. And obviously with the digital trends and IR 4.0 coming up, so he believes that going digital is the next big engine of growth for Penang. And so he set up Digital Penang to look at that partly. And also because there were so many agencies doing a lot of digital initiatives, and in view of the vision of Penang 2030, he basically wanted to have an agency to coordinate all these digital initiatives with a strategic direction in terms of where we're going. And so basically the mission of Digital Penang is to see how can we use technology to increase the comparative advantages of Penang, right? To go beyond manufacturing and tourism. And then also, how do we actually boost our digital economy? And as COVID-19 has proven to us that going online is a necessity now, it's not an option. Other than that, obviously, our mission is also to see how we can drive adoption of the digital technology by the common public in terms of in the society, in the community itself. How do we get people to use digital technology a lot better? And then also in government itself, we need to look at how do we use data intelligently to make better decisions and to have informed policies. And basically that is our mission in Digital Penang. So under Digital Penang, there are basically 4 pillars. The digital infrastructure, which is basically the most basic thing that we need to address is if we want to go digital, then we And then the second thing, obviously, then would be digital economy. Basically, how do we drive digital economy? How do we get our SMEs to adopt technology a lot more to go digital? And then how do we look at digital exports or digital investments into Penang? And then digital community is basically how do we get people to go e-payment, go cashless, go online, would be digital community. How do we engage with them, with the community, to seek feedback, to actually co-create some of the policies that we have. And then lastly, in digital governance is basically how do we get the government to focus on data, to create services, deliver services to the public in a digital way, and to create a better experience for the public.
Okay. So among the 4 pillars, which is currently the most challenging pillar which requires the most attention?
I think, like I've said before, digital infrastructure is the most basic thing. And we need to address this because we cannot say we go digital and then our bandwidth is so slow, our broadband is so slow. So this has always been under PDC Telco. And we have an agency called PDC Telco that is actually driving this together with the state councils. And basically, this is a very difficult challenge for us to do because we are very dependent on the telcos. We need the telcos to come in and decide and say they want to put in the fiber. And if this area is a profitable area, then they will put the fiber in and then they will actually lay the fiber and connect to the last mile for the consumer in their homes. So unfortunately, we have to depend and wait for the telcos to do that. And so the biggest challenge for the state is basically how do we fiberize this whole state, right? Because the fiber backbone is very important if you want to go digital. Even when you want to go 5G, I think you still need a very good fiber backbone. And so this is not a challenge only peculiar to the Penang state. Even the Prime Minister Muhyiddin has already highlighted that this is a problem for Malaysia because our whole internet backbone is just not fast enough. And he is definitely now trying to look at how do we address this if we want to go digital. And the reason why this is so important is, and it is highlighted by the COVID crisis, underscored by the fact that people have to work from home. And if we have to work from home and if the bandwidth is so slow, and if people want to shop online and people want to do a lot of things online, do payments, do the scanning and all that, and if the bandwidth is very slow, then it actually hampers the fact doesn't give a very good experience when you go digital.
Yeah. And recently,
going digital is actually a feeling. People must feel that they've gone digital, and that going digital has improved their lives in terms of value adding, in terms of convenience, in terms of cost savings, in terms of safety, right? So that's why going digital is a feeling, and we need to make sure that people have a good experience with it.
yeah. And recently, I think the CEO of Celcom mentioned that
Yes.
now is probably not the right time to implement 5G, and they are actually looking at the second half of 2021.
Sorry, I missed it because there was lag in the in the
Okay.
bandwidth.
I think the Celcom CEO mentioned recently that now is actually not the right time to implement 5G because there's not a lot of users for it yet. The devices are also very expensive, and they say that the best probably they will start implementing only the second half of 2021.
So absolutely right. I think today even the use cases for 5G is not very well proven. And you can see, for example, in China that they can do it, but the use cases is actually, you're talking of driverless cars, you're talking of remote surgery, those kind of things which require very high speed. So the use cases is actually still not very mature. So I think investing in 5G may be a bit too early. It's probably maybe 3 years from now. But nevertheless, I think the fiber backbone is still a fundamental requirement, right? We still need to put the fiber backbone in, whether we're going to go 5G now or later in a few years' time. You still need to address the fiber backbone first.
Yeah, right. So before we proceed further, I'm sure you would also like to know the views from our live audience. So we will be conducting some polls tonight, and the first poll for tonight is, do you consider Penang a smart city? So all these initiatives to digitize digital economy things, I think is the end goal of the state to make Penang a smart city, an international city. Okay, so yes or no? Let us know what you think below, and don't worry, no one can see what you answered, not even us. All right. So Tony, what is the definition of a smart city? How far is Penang from being one?
Okay, so we have, BKT, the local government have been implementing smart city initiatives for the last couple of years now. And currently they have something like 60 initiatives going on, and they've implemented some of them. What is a smart city is a very good question. I think for me, the definition of a smart city is actually to do with people. It's a culture that people actually feel that they have used technology in a smart way to, like I've said, improve their lives. To actually, whether it be in work, play, or live, has improved their lives in a way going digital would be. And that would be what a smart city would mean. And second thing is that if every city, they can afford to invest and buy a lot of technology, and then all the cities would look the same as a smart city, right? So you can have a smart water system, smart pollution system, smart buildings, all that stuff. So everybody can have the same infrastructure, can have the same investment into the smart technology. But what really differentiates one city from another is actually the culture. And so Penang needs to preserve our culture and our livability, and then still have the technology to enable it, to make sure that we are creating a livable environment out of it. So that, in my view, is a smart city, because then the technology complements the culture and still create that distinctiveness of that city itself. That is the definition of smart city. Somebody actually said this, which I thought was quite funny, but probably kind of true as well. And he defines it as we need to go and adopt technology, we need to go digital, we need smart city and all that, but we must preserve the pearlness of Penang. So question is, what is this pearlness of Penang?
Yeah, I think everyone has a different view of what this is. Some of the NGOs want the old Penang to remain there. Okay, I think we do have the results already. Let's see what our audience thinks. All right, so the majority thinks that Penang is already a smart city.
Well, I'm impressed.
Okay, all right. Recently, Digital Penang launched the hashtag DahDigital program. Tell us more about this program.
Okay, so when we said, so again, I want to say that going digital is a feeling. People must feel that they've gone digital. And so driving adoption is very key. And then also people, when they use it, must have a good experience, right? So adoption and experience is very key in going digital. So we recognize that our population in Penang is quite diverse. We have a population from senior citizens to the young, and we have multilingual population. And we have people who are digitally very savvy and some who are not. And so the program DahDigital came in because YB did announce that we want to go cashless, right? So all the markets want to go cashless, which is a great thing to encourage people to go cashless. I mean, China with 1.4 billion people have already done that. And so nothing to say that us with 1.75 million people, why can't we do that as well? And so to do that, basically, by just announcing and getting people to have wallets and then giving them 50 ringgit, that kind of stuff, it's good. It incentivizes people to do and download that. But you still need to handhold people, right? Handhold them and give them coaching and guidance and give them the confidence to actually use the technology, to actually assure them and teach them step by step how to use some of the things so that they gain confidence and then they gain trust in the technology. So that's the reason why we launched this DahDigital program, which is basically saying, have you gone digital? Sudah digital kah? So that's basically what the program is about. And to actually have two types of people. One is a digital promoter. And the digital promoter's role is basically very simple, to get people to use the e-wallet, right? To basically go to the markets, use the e-wallet, and then to do e-payments itself. And that's the digital promoter scheme. The digital coach scheme is basically a lot more involved. This is basically conducting classes, right? So we probably going to do it in the MPKK as well as in the Adun service centers to basically get people to come in, register themselves, and then we conduct a class for them to teach them on how to go video conferencing, for example, or to do e-payments, to use emails, to use Facebook, to use WhatsApp chat, that kind of stuff. So it's a lot more than just the wallets, but it's basically everything that has to do with digital technology. So the way it's structured is such that the digital coach is a more involved classroom type of instruction, practical things where we will show them how to use the devices and stuff like that.
So have all the positions been filled? You all just launched probably 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, so we launched this program, and partly because CM, Chief Minister Chow, believes that in this COVID crisis as well, that people need to have income support. And so he basically wanted to create this kind of a jobs to help people supplement their income. So it's a part-time work, 6 hours a week, and you can do it at night, you can do it over the weekends, and basically that's the kind of work that we're looking for, right? That's the digital promoter. Digital coach is a bit more different, so you probably have to do it during the office hours, but the digital promoter is basically that. And there are 250 positions for digital promoter, and you get paid 500 ringgit to do 6 hours a month. So you get 500 ringgit a month to do 6 hours per week. right? And we have about, so far, 50 applications for digital promoter out of 250. And most of them are in Barat Daya and in Timor Laut areas. So we need a lot more people to sign up from Seberang Perai. And so encourage your viewers to sign up for the digital program, digital promoter program, and then to do that. For the digital coach, we only have 32 vacancies in the 4 languages that we want to conduct in. And basically, we now already have 50 over. So this program is supposed to run for 1 year. But we are just basically trying to take intake as we go along, because we know that people may after 3 months may decide not to continue. So the intake will continue over the period of 1 year. So please encourage your viewers to apply.
So if somebody is interested in being a digital promoter, especially those on the mainland, how do they apply, and how does one know if they are actually qualified to be a digital promoter?
Okay, so for the digital promoter, it's very simple. Please go to the digitalpenang.my website and then click on the screen and you will see, so you go to the digital promoter, Digital Penang website, click on it, and then you will basically be able to apply. It's very simple. Is all we need you to do is to demonstrate that you know how to use technology. So just take your phone out, take a video of how you use the phone, how do you use the wallet, demonstrate that you can do that, and you've got the job. That's very simple. Just upload the video and you've got the job. And then we'll call you up for you to basically do that. And we try to assign people to do work around the area where they live so that there's not a lot of travel. And so basically it will be around your markets in your area or in the aduns service centers around your area. So we don't try to minimize travel for people.
So are you looking at, if it's 250, are you looking at 50 per district?
We have no restriction, but we have got, like I've said, a lot from Timor Laut and Barat Daya, but we are lacking in Seberang Perai area, right? Seberang Tengah, Selatan, and Utara.
Okay, right. Okay, we will also help share the information on our Facebook so that more of those on the mainland will. I think they will probably be the ones that will need more coaching. I think the Timor Laut one will be more exposed to technology already.
Correct. We have a Bahasa version for all these brochures as well, so we can send it to you for you to post them as well.
Oh, that's great. Thanks.
Or you go to our Facebook page, Digital Penang Facebook page, and you can just share it from there.
Yep, we'll do that. Okay, let's have our second poll for tonight. All right. So for our audience, do you support the digitalization journey? It means, do you support that Penang go through this to become more digital? Okay, so yes or no. Right? Click your answer below. Tuni, the older generation commonly perceive that going digital is complicated and unsafe. How do you plan to change this perspective? Is DahDigital sufficient? By talking to them, giving them the lessons, the workshops, and things like that. Is that sufficient, or do you actually have other things in the pipeline?
Well, I think we should look at digital. First of all, digital is just an alternative means, right? So we are not taking away all the traditional methods of payment and all that yet, right? I mean, it's still there. So this is basically a transitional period that we're going through, and all the other alternative means are still available. If you look at marketing theory, there's always this segment of society that's called laggard, that they will never, and they will swear they will never get on to doing this, right? And so we're actually basically looking for the early majority of customers and the late majority of people to actually adopt technology, and that's basically what we're focusing on. But having said that, I mean, my mother-in-law is 89 years old, and she uses the WhatsApp, she uses e-wallets, she uses it, video, everything, right? Not a problem. So I do see some senior citizens who see learning as a challenge, and they do want to learn, and there are some segment of this senior citizens that think that learning is a lifelong journey, and that they see it as a challenge and also a bragging right, because they can then tell their children, hey, don't leave me out. I can be as savvy as you are in technology. Or they can tell their friends, no, look, I have managed to overcome this challenge. I've learned something new. So this is, I think it's kind of an interesting behavior that we're seeing, that don't underestimate the senior citizens. They can actually do and adopt technology, and they see it as a lifelong learning thing.
Would the seniors be more suitable to be done, the digital promoters that seem that they can get their circle to actually adopt, and also probably easier for them to speak to them in their own language?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we launched this DahDigital program, we did it at the Penang Seniors Digital Resource Center in Pulau Tikus. And actually we have the promoters from their side, and they are going to have coaching classes there as well. So we have I guess you say peer-to-peer kind of coaching at the same age group, and so they may understand them a bit better, they may be more patient, and they will go with them, right? So that's another approach. The other approach obviously is to say to do reverse mentoring, using the young to teach the old, or is also another approach. But yes, definitely we're not discounting that. Like I said, there is no discrimination in terms of age, whatever, nothing whatsoever. As long as the person can demonstrate that they can use technology and that they can be very patient teaching people, that's all we need. They can come and be a digital promoter or a digital coach.
Sounds great. Okay, now let's see if we do have the results. Yes, we do have the results already. Let's see how supportive our audience is towards the digitalization.
Wow.
100%.
Wow, I'm so motivated and encouraged.
Yeah, good for you.
That's fantastic.
I think CM will be very happy to hear this also. We have a lot of supportive Penangites. Okay.
Very good.
But we need the whole ecosystem to get on the digital bandwagon. Like you mentioned, there are the laggards. Okay. I think the hawkers they make quite a big amount of these laggards. Hawkers are still reluctant to to adopt, because sometimes it's due to the additional cost factors. They have also other reasons for not joining. They're comfortable with their traditional methods, which have put them in good state for decades. They've been earning their daily wages for so long already. How does Digital Penang intend to tackle this?
Well, I think this transition will take time, right? So it has to be driven by merchant and consumer. When the consumer forces the merchant, then the merchant needs to change. The merchant doesn't want to change, but if the consumer demands it, then they will basically adapt to it. Some of them is the other way around, right? The merchant has changed, and then the consumer has no choice. A senior citizen then will need to change. So it's this dynamic between the merchant and the consumer that will go on, and it will take some time. But some of the stories that I've heard, I mean, I've talked to people from Touch and Go, and basically what they're saying is that actually some of the hawkers and have actually realized that, it has actually improved the way that they are actually doing the business. One is that they now don't need to, like at the end of the day, worry about the cash and then going to the bank to deposit or whatever. And one of the biggest challenge and reservation for a lot of hawkers is the fact that their cash flow is very tight. Whatever they earn today is the capital for tomorrow. And so what they were afraid of is that when they get into Touch and Go or into all these wallets, they don't transfer the money to them immediately into their account. And so therefore, then it becomes a cash flow problem for them. But so far, what we've heard is that from the experience that they've got now is that it is still working well. And a lot of the hawkers are beginning to like that way of doing it, so that they don't need to go and do banking and whatever, right? And they can now just use the wallet to do a lot of the transactions. So that I think is an encouraging sign, and I think we will just need to take time for adoption to happen. The most important thing is, like I've said, the experience must be good, right? The experience, whether it be in terms of confidence, in terms of trust, in terms of safety. If people experience that it is convenient and they have confidence in it, I think that adoption will start to increase.
Yeah, I agree. We need to reach that tipping point, and once we are past the tipping point, everyone will start pushing towards it, and everyone will follow suit really. Because
if you go to China today and you use cash, a lot of them won't accept it at all. Yeah,
correct. That's true. Now, luckily, they have already introduced for foreigners, for tourists, you can have a temporary WeChat account for. I'm not sure how long, but for a period of time, they actually stop you from actually reloading if you're a foreigner, you're not able to reload. So I was fortunate that last year when I was in China, I had sufficient money inside because we couldn't reload anymore already.
Yeah, very advanced.
Yes, correct, and so much easier. And your receipts are all in there. You get all the benefits. They will inform you of all those things. If you're on WeChat, they will update you on promotions and things like that as well.
When the COVID crisis happened, they rolled out that scanner app immediately. So because everybody had wallets already, for them to roll that out, it was so fast. I mean, for us to get people to download MySejahtera, PG Care, all that stuff, right? So it's still going to take us a while, but you can see how advanced it is for them that when they wanted to roll anything out through their wallet, it's so quick.
Yeah. So how does Digital Penang envision the use of Internet of Things? This is something that we saw on your website, that you all do envision to use IoT to support the environmental, agriculture, and also aquaculture sectors. So these are quite traditional. This one. How do you envision to use IoT for the?
Yeah, so we are looking for IoT partners, I guess, and IoT may go away with 5G. I think there's still some use for IoT, right? But the sensors will definitely still be of value. So Penang, surprisingly, is actually very. We have actually the highest aqua farming in the whole country. Yeah. So, and our aqua farming is actually quite high value stuff, right? Oysters, for example, is being exported from Penang. So we just take an example of an oyster farm. Now, today, they are still not implementing sensor technology. So they do not know when do they need to quickly react when the pollution happens in the water or the pollution happens in the environment where the oysters are growing. So if they have sensors planted further away or whatever, they could actually detect, and it could become an early warning sign for them. And then therefore they will be able to take steps to make sure that they can protect their produce, basically. So today, that kind of technology is still not used yet. So not just in oysters, we have also the fish farms as well. So a lot of them, I think, can use IoT in terms of the sensor technology to help them manage their farms a lot better.
Yeah, probably should talk to Prof. Eileen. She also has that, and she actually advises many of the oyster farmers as well. So yeah, maybe they can have a bulk purchase or bulk implementation, so it will lower the cost of implementation.
If any of your viewers are in the IoT business, encourage them to see how they can devise a solution and go and approach some of these farms. And we encourage you all to give them this kind of technology. And it goes as far as Kedah, and they actually also have a demand for IoT technology as well.
Okay. We shall have our last poll for tonight. And the question is, would you make changes to embrace a digital lifestyle? So just now, we have 100% supportive of the journey. So will they make sacrifices? Okay, so yes or no, are you willing to make sacrifices? All right. So the next question is somewhat related to the poll. The installation of new and better CCTVs is part and parcel of being a smart city. How does Digital Penang intend to balance the security and privacy as the local government, the state government deploys more CCTVs?
Yeah, so I have to say that this has already been done by the local councils. So we have, if I'm not mistaken, a few hundred cameras already in the state. But so we have not been involved in the project, and one of the things that we need to look at is people's comfort level in terms of being monitored by all these CCTV cameras, right? In China, it's a given. They are even more advanced than that, and they use it for facial recognition. And so during the COVID crisis, they could recognize people, and then they could actually look at social distancing as to whether you are complying with social distancing, right? So in China, is not an issue, but in a lot of the so-called democratic countries, we tend to get a bit nervous when governments do something like that. Rest assured, Penang State, our cameras are still very passive. Okay, I have to assure you that our cameras are very passive. And it doesn't collect any data. It's just basically monitoring and seeing what's out there. And it does help us in crime protection. So when there's an incidence of a crime, then the police can go back and look at the video and look at that there, right? So it's a very passive, a very post-outcome type of a camera. It is not a real-time camera that we're collecting data or that yet. Right? So that's still not there. A bit further away, maybe, we don't know. And whatever we do collect data, I think it is not granular enough to an individual person. It doesn't collect data as to exactly like the face recognition. We don't do that. But it can collect aggregate data, right? Sum up all the data, and then we can look at the patterns. And that's all the analysis that we do or can be done. In terms of the analysis is looking at patterns of behavior, patterns of where we get congestion in traffic, where we get potentially high crime, patterns of where people want to park a lot more, and those kind of things. So it's more pattern analysis rather than the individual analytics. So I think the public, first of all, is very passive. Second is they rest assured that it doesn't get into individual analytics.
Yeah, I also heard that it's not that good quality. The quality is not that high that you can't.
Yeah,
sometimes
not there yet.
Yeah, some of the cameras have not been upgraded, so they can't really even see the number plates of the cars. Of course, some have been upgraded, and slowly the government is doing that. So, like what you say, still a bit far off.
I think, if anything, the way Singapore has done is basically they have used cameras for enforcement a lot more, especially for traffic violations, especially for parking violations. So that's what they have done a lot more. So people like to double park their car and then run into something in Mama store and grab something or whatever. I think if you use CCTV cameras to do those kind of enforcement is probably what would happen in the future, and then we can save costs in terms of enforcement people, right? I mean, and basically will ease congestion in the traffic as well.
Yeah. We do hear that some of the CCTVs they will have speakers as well, so they will make announcement. Can this car number please move your car? So I think parts of Penang, the local council is actually already doing that, and I think this is a good initiative. The enforcement, they should use this.
Yeah, but it tends to be a bit scary.
Correct. All right. Okay, we do have the poll results ready. All right. Okay, close to 100%. 90% are willing to make changes. So 10% not willing to make changes. I think earlier it was yeah, okay, yeah. So although all of them are supportive, but then 10% reluctant to sacrifice. But good to know that majority will do whatever that's necessary to embrace the digital lifestyle. So this is good news, as
Very
change
good.
comes with sacrifice. We always hear that digitalization comes with many advantages and benefits. So earlier on, you mentioned about a list of them. What are the current major disadvantages, and how does Digital Penang intend to mitigate them?
I think the disadvantage is actually when we go technology and we go digital. I mean, one is obviously adoption, right? That's why we are doing this thing called DahDigital to help people adopt it. But one of the things that is actually not so visible is actually cost. It may seem like, yes, you put in something technology, you will save costs in manpower or whatever. But actually, no. The cost of technology in maintaining that technology, because the technology life cycle is actually 3 years. I mean, how long do you use your phone or your computer? 3 to 5 years max, right? And so the cost of renewing this technology is actually quite high. That's one. The second thing is maintenance. I mean, you put a CCTV camera in. Okay, so like you said, right? If the camera is not high HD, then we need to refresh it. New technology comes in. You put in a 5G technology. Next one, it will be 6G technology that's coming in. So you need to constantly refresh technology to keep up to date. If you don't refresh technology, your technology becomes very outdated. Then you're no longer a very smart city anymore, right? So that's one of the challenge. The second thing, like I said, is maintenance. I mean, in Malaysia, we don't really have a maintenance culture, and that's really the serious part of it. Because when the moment you put technology in, it must work 24/7. And if the moment one day it doesn't work, I mean, a good example is smart parking. It didn't work for the last 2 days, right?
Correct.
People lose confidence. Well, I think in this case, people were very happy because they don't need to pay any fines or pay any parking. But people lose confidence if your technology is not always up and is not always 24/7. So maintaining the technology is actually a very important thing, and it costs a lot of money to maintain it. So we need to make sure that when we put in some technology, we have to be very comfortable that it will always run 24/7, always on, and that we maintain it and that we refresh it every 3 to 4 years or whatever. And that will be one of the key challenge or disadvantage in going digital or going technology. Not so much a disadvantage, but it's something that we need to be very mindful of. It's not like, oh, we put in a technology and that's it, and then we wait until it breaks down, nobody cares about it, and then nobody uses it. Because the moment everybody starts to use the wallet, it has to be used. And so therefore it's best run by private companies, right? Private companies need to do it for profit, and then they will make sure that it is always on.
Yeah, and speaking of the smart parking, and actually there's the confidence of people definitely has been hit because they have lost money as well. Well, at least maybe temporary. They see that they have zero value in the wallet. So they started to panic. What happened to their money? They have 53 ringgit inside there. What happened to the money? I think because they had a special promo for Merdeka and Malaysia Day, whereby if you do reload, you do get additional cash inside. So I think there are people who actually took the opportunity.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
to reload so that they can get the additional cash in it. And because of that, that's why I think they were concerned, because they do have money inside there already, and they just put it in, and then they see it disappear just like that.
Another disadvantage I would say is that when with social media, when bad things happen, it spreads like wildfire. Yeah, it's very viral. It spreads like wildfire. So it's hard for you to contain that, but that's the new normal, right? We just have to adjust to that. And also, I think any security system, there's no such thing as a 100% bulletproof security system out there. If it is invented by human, it can be broken by human, right? So security itself, obviously, there will always be scammers out there, and so the important thing I think we want to stress is being very digitally savvy. To what is important and what not to do, right? To make sure that you don't fall into such scams and schemes, right? And so that's what we're trying to do, to raise the digital literacy of people.
Yeah, I've read that the weakest point in the whole system is actually the human being. The user is the one. Yeah, so the user is one that will click on the links. The user is the one that will do all those things that makes the system fall apart.
Yeah, and hackers will always try to exploit that.
Yeah. Okay. Right. One of the first projects by Digital Penang is the Penang Care contact tracing platform. What other exciting projects can Penangites look forward to in the near future?
Okay, so our focus is shifting more towards digital economy. The community programs are like what we have already been running, which is focusing on going cashless, working with partners to go basically the DahDigital program to encourage adoption and create a great experience, that kind of stuff, right? So those are the more public programs. But we are trying to shift gear and focus on the digital economy, because I think it's very important for Penang to look at the digital strategy, to look at how do we get into this digital economy quickly. Like I've said, we have two engines of growth, manufacturing and tourism. We need to get into the digital economy. And so basically, what is it? And so getting our SMEs into that space, into getting them digitalized is very important. I mean, SMEs, we have thousands of SMEs in Penang. I mean, it depends on how you define them. But we need to get our SMEs digitalized, get them to look at how do they tap and go online to export, to do digital exports, to look at markets beyond Malaysia, right? So that's one of the things that we want to focus on in the economy with digital SMEs. And then and look at innovations. How can they look at digital innovations around their business itself? The second one is more on startups, the startup ecosystem that we have. I think if you go to Indonesia, you see that their startup system is very robust, even in Vietnam as well. Lots of startups are attracting a lot of investment, and some of the unicorns you can hear. Gojek is a unicorn from there. I mean, Grab was a Malaysian unicorn, and then of course Singapore hijacked it and became theirs. But we in Penang, we have actually quite a few successes, right? So we want to startups around that. We have job streets. Started from Penang, right? Exabytes, Deliver Eat, Job Street. These are all great startups. PictoChart, if you know them, they all started from Penang, right? So we are basically trying to nurture that entrepreneur startup community to see how we can do that. Now, so far, all that has been done by Invest Penang, and so they have been nurturing this entrepreneur startup. So it's just basically seeing how we can help support and create an ecosystem around that. So a lot of all the initiatives that we are looking at is mostly going to be focused on the digital economy. I think we need to seriously go into creating jobs, right? And teaching people digital marketing skills, for example. And so Facebook Innovation Hub has just set up in Penang, near UAB building. And so we're working with them, and basically we are offering people to come and become digital marketeers, and we will certify them, right? So that will be one of the programs that we're going to next offer, is basically to certify yourself as a digital marketing specialist. Is the other thing. And getting our economy to go digital is definitely one of the key focus for us.
Speaking of social media, earlier you mentioned, one of the issues would be, things go viral. So I do manage a few social media accounts. So I've learned that we need to respond and not react. So,
yes.
Yeah,
and you must respond. You must respond in the same channel, in the same media. You cannot say if they do something in Facebook, you go and respond in Twitter. It doesn't work. You have to respond in the same media, same channel.
Yeah, and if you do react, actually what you're doing is you're creating, a flame. You continue to flame.
Absolutely.
So, respond and instead of reacting.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you so much, Tony, for spending your time with us in the past hour. We thank you for your sharing and wish you and your team the best in bringing Penang towards a digital future. Hopefully, Penang will DahDigital very soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sean.
That's all we have for tonight. Thank you for being with us since 8 p.m. See you again next month for another episode of Science Stream. Good night and stay safe.